Hey everybody, we are back live from Saratoga for Skidmore's Giving Day, and I've heard the great news. We've reached over 200 donors. Thank you so much for everyone who has participated so far. We are well on our way to 750 donors and unlocking that $200,000 for Skidmore. So if you haven't made your gift yet, please consider doing so. We appreciate your generosity. So I'm so excited. I am here today with Leif and Jamie, who are the founders of Adirondack Flannel. They are both seniors and entrepreneurs who got their start from the Kenneth A. Frierick Business Plan Competition. This competition was established and funded by Ken Frierick, class of 1990, as a way to encourage Skidmore students to follow their passions with entrepreneurial experiences. And to date, nearly 300 students representing 175 businesses have entered the competition since its inception in 2010. So thank you so much for being here. I see you're wearing your shirts. They look great.
Thank you.
So tell us about Adirondack Flannel and what's inspired you to start your own business in college.
So I'll take this off. We'll just go back and forth as we usually do. So it really started in the fall of 2013 when we were freshmen, right? That was when it was. We were both on the lacrosse team, and there was a senior on our team named Seth Berger, and he was in the business competition the past 4 years when he was here. And he started a company called East Coast Lacrosse, where they make custom lacrosse apparel for teams, like jerseys, shorts, like uniforms, and then some apparel too that you could buy. And this whole thing was trying to get to, custom markets for to get whole sports organizations, like a whole town, all their lacrosse programs, or it doesn't have to be just lacrosse teams. He did a couple other, I think he did a couple football teams or something like that, hockey teams. So he told us about this competition, and we were like, oh, we're both thinking about being business majors. Why don't we go watch it? So we went and we watched the first round, not expecting to, what it was going to be, and we were like, oh, this is awesome. So we came back to the finals, and at the finals, we took a bunch of notes, and we were like, we could do this. We should totally do this. So we locked ourselves in the library and started thinking about, things we had in common between Leif and I. We're both from New Jersey, both live in similar types of neighborhoods, both kind of the same clothes, play sports together. And, what really came down to was the thick clothes we wear is what it came down to. Very similar style of clothes. And we're like, well, how can we improve upon what we have currently? And the whole concept is, we're up at school here in Saratoga Springs. It's freezing in the winter, and you go out to a party, you go downtown, and you want to wear what we like to wear, like a nice Oxford shirt, button-down shirt, tailored fit, nice bright colors, something like that. Very preppy is our style. But in the winter, it's so cold. You either have to bring a jacket, but you might lose that. You have to leave it somewhere. It's a little sketchy. You're gonna lose it. Yeah. Or you have to wear something like a flannel shirt, which are typically boxy. They're your standard plaid designs. They just don't look upscale enough to what we're trying to show off for our appearance. And we want clothes that fit our lifestyle. So it felt like it was missing at that point. So we're like, this is our idea. So we sort of had our idea, and we took it to Colleen Burke, who was one of the professors in the business department. And we told her about the idea. And we're like, what, Colleen, we have this idea. We're thinking about entering the competition next year, but we wanted to get your input as someone that, knows a lot about, business and, entrepreneurship. And she goes, guys, all the time tell me about clothing ideas, like t-shirts. And I'm like, there's a million t-shirt companies out there. But what you guys have is something different. You have a real brand that you could create behind this. And we're like, oh my gosh, we have someone like Colleen Burke telling us this could be a real idea. So that's what really started us, really thinking that we could possibly do this. So I'll take it through the summer, and then you can start in the fall. So basically that spring into summer, we just had no idea what we were doing. We're just kind of just on the internet, sort of just brainstorming with each other, what we think works. We had a logo made. So we had someone make a logo for us.
Started saving up money.
Started realizing this is going to cost a bunch of money for us to do. Went through a bunch of iterations of the logo, and basically we came up with our logo as this porcupine right here. And I don't know if you guys can see. Yeah, let's get right there. Yeah, it's a porcupine. And basically the idea behind the porcupine is that in Mohawk, Mohawk Native American language, the word Adirondack in their translation means those that eat bark. And it was sort of used as a derogatory term against another Indian tribe, because in the winter, when there wasn't enough food, only the most elite tribes had the storage of the meats and what other grains they had. And everyone else had to eat things like bark on the trees. So they would call them bark eaters. But it just so happens that porcupines in the winter, when there's not enough food, have to scavenge for food, and they eat bark. So word Adirondack is porcupine in the translation of Mohawk Indian. So it's the same word. So it's a really cool, interesting idea. And as we were thinking of being named Adirondack Flannel, we're like, oh my gosh, what better, concept to use than, this cool, cuddly little porcupine. So we had the logo developed, and that took a while. It was a lot of work, and we realized this is going to take us a long time. What else is going to take us a long time? And so we just kept going. We kept, I actually had my aunt on my dad's side. She had a small clothing line, so she put us in touch with her manufacturer. So we had to get away into manufacturing. So we started working with this manufacturer to get a pattern designed. And Leif can go into now if you want to take into like how we made the pattern and then going into our first mistakes with our first couple shirts and that kind of thing.
So just going off what James said, all of this that we were doing and planned for this was preparation for the competition. From all those notes we had done, we were like, okay, all the businesses in the competition are fully functioning businesses. And they never really do well if it's just a concept. So we were like, how do we get this entire foundation built up before kind of the first round of the business competition, which was in February. So as Jamie said, we were like, let's get a prototype, let's get something that kind of gets the concept out there. But we had no idea kind of like where to start. I mean, we were both lacrosse players, business majors. We had never made a shirt in our lives. We had no idea where to start. And like he said, he had family that was in the clothing production business. They made baby clothes. Yeah. And we contacted their manufacturers, and we visited them in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And we basically brought a bunch of our shirts that we had picked out for our design. And
just from our own closet.
And what was funny about how we designed it, we've talked to a lot of designers now, and the process that we did for designing our shirts was kind of unlike anyone had ever really heard of, but kind of makes sense. Most people kind of start with the design and then we'll add the features, whereas we started from the opposite and we picked out features that we liked and thought we'd build the design that way. So he and I took all the clothes out of our closets, all of our button downs, all of our friends' button downs, and we spent like 3 hours with notepads trying on every shirt, picking out fit sizes that we liked, small features, like things about the cut that were perfect, until we kind of got a small amalgamation of like 4 or 5 shirts that kind of made sense to kind of put together. And then we brought them to Allentown. We're like, okay, make this. How do we make this? And just because we told them, we're like, we have no idea what we're doing. We're kind of stupid in this area, but make this. And they were like, sure, we can do that. So in about a month or 2, we had a pattern made for our first shirt, and we found some fabric to make it and got a prototype made, which I believe was just in time for the first round of the competition. I believe so. My memory suits me.
Yeah.
And just since we're taking it into the first round of the competition, that was more, we had been doing a lot of function side, and the competition is actually a business plan competition. But we were excited because we had a lot of foundation work going into our business plan. So that was when we kind of switched gears and started writing our business plan in preparation for the first round.
So I know that all of this kind of led you up to the competition, but how did you hear about the fire competition? Was it Colin Burke who introduced it to you, or did you hear?
Well, actually, it was from the kid on our lacrosse team freshman year, Seth Berger.
Yeah.
But the way he kind of pitched it to us was a really nice way, and he basically said, the business program here at Skidmore is incredible. The liberal arts get such a broad, expansive knowledge, but the one way you can take it a step further is to apply it into something real life. So he was like, your application of what you're learning in class. And it's basically at the same time, like when I was taking accounting, like we were dealing with accounting issues. So things like that, it's a great application. He was like, it's a no-brainer to do this. And then at the same time, he said, it's also a no-brainer to do the business plan competition because you can win up to $20,000, which is more than enough to start your business. So that combination of the two was like, okay, we don't know what our idea is yet, but we should do this.
Yeah.
So can you tell us what the experience was like as you were going through the competition?
Yes, it's grueling. At least the first year it is.
The first iteration of the business plan competition is tough.
It's tough because
you start from nothing.
You start from nothing. You don't know what a business plan should look like. So you're looking at books that you find, and people suggest ideas. You might even have, if you're lucky, you have somebody else's plan that you can look at sort of for reference, or just even like a table of contents to see the general form. But you're really just doing it yourself. So Leif and I spent probably 2-3 weeks in the library, 10 hours a day, just writing and rewriting until we got to a point where we thought it was good enough, and like running financial models, on our own, basically just, doing what we thought was right.
I remember I thought it was going to be helpful. I had built a spreadsheet that was like 3 pages long, and it was all connected, where basically you could just input how many shirts we were going to produce for each year, and it would calculate the percentage of each sales, and then it was nuts what it was.
It was just too much.
And then we just screenshotted that and put it on our business plan, and then we're like, what is this?
Yeah.
This is a nightmare.
So luckily, it was good enough really for the first round, but in the nuance, you learn the nuances of the business competition. It's a lot of it is how you present yourself. Because and for those of you that don't know, it's kind of like Shark Tank, where you go in the first round. There's a panel of alumni judges and Ken, who's the man that runs the competition, and you sort of just pitch 5 to 7 minutes, and then a couple minutes of questions, and then you're done. And then the next group goes, and then all the groups go, and then at the end of the day, they all meet and deliberate behind closed doors. And then they come out, and after the first round, it's each judge picks a group they want to mentor. And that's how you get into the finals, right? So we had the lovely Nancy Wexelbaum decide that we were worthy enough to be her mentees. So, and that was great. The competition ended, the first round, it was on a Friday. And after that, there was a nice dinner, and everyone could come, and it was great. And we got to meet our mentor. We met Nancy, and she told us she had a bunch of ideas and all this stuff. And we're like, okay, great. Like, thanks, Nancy. Next thing you know, it's Sunday morning at like 8 in the morning, and we get a call from her. And we have a conversation for like 4 hours with her. Next thing you know, it's like every day we're talking to her for like a couple hours, or even just like a quick half an hour to make sure things are going right, make sure we're doing the homework that she's like kind of assigned to us. And we even went down to her apartment in the city one time, and we went to her house in Connecticut one time, and it was amazing to see how an alumni could be so connected to the school in such like a dramatic way as this competition. Like, she really cared about how we did in the competition, because it wasn't only a reflection of her, it was her giving back to Skidmore in a very special way. And it was something that made me think about not just winning the competition and being in the competition, but how when I'm older, I would like to be a judge in the competition to give back in the same way that people did to us.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and that mentor thing is one thing that also sets the business competition apart from other ones. In most business plan competitions, we entered the New York State one. They just kind of throw you out into open water and hope that you make it back to the bank. But here at Skidmore, it's like you make it through the first round, and it's tough. You push through. That's why they always say just get a business plan there and get a good presentation and show them your idea, because they know what's a good idea and what's a bad idea. And they also know who are the right people and who are the wrong people, like who's motivated and who knows that they can do this. And then from there, you get a mentor who is not hopefully experienced in the field that you're entering, but has years of business experience, like beyond what we could ever know. And that knowledge of them just focusing one-on-one with you is absolutely priceless. And we actually think it's larger than the amount of the grand prize for the competition.
And what would you say is sort of the biggest takeaway that you learned from Nancy as your mentor?
A lot. Well, one thing she was incredible with is financials. Yeah. She took our financials and not only made them reasonable, but made them very clean and attractive, and helped us understand our potential and also like how we get there.
And as I said, in the first round, writing the business plan, putting the pitch deck together, it was sort of us just thinking what we thought was right. And then so she sort of just took that and put it in the right framework, just having the right foundation for the plan, which should be. And she also, enlightened us in a sense where she said, you got to think about who the judges are. They're people who they have jobs, and they're working throughout the week. So if you're going to make a plan, you got to make it approachable. You don't want to have like an essay pretty much, because they're not going to read it. Have bullets, have it be concise, have there be graphs, have there be charts, something that's very easy to follow, so that the judges, when they have like their 10 minutes to read your plan, they can get enough out of it where they like it. And then going into the pitch deck, she helped us, sort of come up with a plan for the future more, which is what we hadn't really thought of. We weren't thinking about now what we're going to do in the next couple months. But she said, you got to think further than that. You got to think about how you're going to expand this thing and grow it, because if not, then you're not going to be sort of a viable business in the judge's eyes. Mm-hmm. So that was.
And is that the next step in the competition, the pitch deck, after you?
So how it works is, in the first round, you turn in your business plan, and then you have a week to prepare for your presentation the following Friday. And then the same progression with the finals, which is about a month and a half in between rounds. So you get to turn it in, and then so what we really did is we focused on the business plan, and then we had that week to prepare a presentation, which we felt was plenty. Yeah, so it was in our minds. So it just happens over again. So in the second round, you turn your plan in again, then you have another week, and then but this time it's I guess there's about 8 judges. So
I bet there was 18 groups that the first round tried to, make it, and then about half or 8, maybe even 7 judges picked them, and so there were 7 groups in the finals, and then the same thing. But it's a new panel of judges this time, new alumni judges. But this time you present questions, and then they deliberate, and then they pick first, second, third, and so on and so forth.
And so what was the outcome for Adirondack Flannel?
So for the first round, we made it to the finals, which we saw as a success. We were
youngest finalists.
We were the youngest finalists that year, which was really nice because especially when we were competing in a field of businesses that had been in business for several years.
Yeah.
And we did not place, but we were finalists, so we did receive $1,000, which was enough for us. Well, we were very disappointed. But we also saw it as a sign that for next year, what we can do is we can take that $1,000 and apply it to the business enough that it's more significant than just the dollar value of that. So like, how can we make the most out of this money to show our growth and to show our motivation for next year? So even though we didn't win immediately, our brains were immediately like, okay, how can we take this result and make it better?
Yeah, and I think that was a big part of like who we are as people. We're very competitive, both athletes, we both work very hard. So even though we lost, it wasn't the end of the world. We were immediately like, all right, that's over, let's move on to the next round. Because you know what, you just gotta move on, you take a loss, you face it, you move on, you get better from it. And it did make us better. We learned so much from the first year of the competition, and especially losing. Because let's say we had won, right? We would have been kind of complacent. I feel like we would have been. We weren't ready for that kind of money yet. We really weren't ready for it. Now thinking back, at the time it would have been great to win, but we weren't ready for it. We had so many things to figure out. We only had one prototype of a shirt, but we only had
the shirts too.
We only had the shirts. It was so. We met with, after the competition, we had people come up to us and say, you gotta talk to this person, you gotta talk to this person. And we sort of started learning from the first round of competition the value of building a network and building a network of people that can help you. Because especially, as we say, we're just at the time we were sophomores in college, we're business majors, but we don't know what we're doing in the clothing industry. And we start to learn that a lot of entrepreneurship is just surrounding yourself with the right people. Because if you surround yourself with the right people, then they're going to have the expertise to help you progress your business
efficiently
too. Yeah. So after the first year, we met one alumni who said, you got this prototype, you got to just make some shirts. Because we were like, we only have $1,000. It's going to cost us about $4,000 to make even 100 shirts.
We wanted to do more testing.
They might not come out right. You don't know. So finally, he said, you got to just make them. So I was a lifeguard, he was working at a restaurant, made up enough money, and we made 100 shirts in our junior fall. And then we ended up selling about 80% of them. Yeah. And then we were able to we had enough money from that to buy another 150 shirts. And we had 4 more designs. So going into the second year of a competition, we had sales, we had real products, we had inventory, we had a proven brand that people, we could show the light. And it was just so much more. And we took that momentum and especially everything we learned the year before, and we applied that and sailed the first round. It was a no-brainer that we were going to be in the finals. We have a new mentor, Greg Smith, who, and he was a sort of younger compared, Nancy's a little bit older, and he works with helping people that have inventions, bring them to market, mass market them. Yeah, Edison Nation, they help people that have inventions, bring them to market and sell them in mass market. And he kind of told us that we needed to have a spark, something that sort of set us apart. We're thinking about it, and he had this idea for a calendar, and we're like, I don't know. And we're like, let's make a video, something funny that we could put out there. We see all these viral videos of like brands like Dollar Shave Club, Chubby's, or like any of these companies that sort of, they just create something that's like a really funny video that people want to share with their friends. That's just really clearly shows the message of your brand and what you're trying to do. So it was about 2 days before the competition. And Leif and I are in the library, and we have a whiteboard. And we're like, all right, and we lived off campus last year, and we had a pretty decent sized backyard. So we drew the backyard on the board. And then we sort of just wrote the progression of what this video was gonna happen, with stick figures, stuff like that. And then the next day, Leif went out there, and I actually had to go to a lacrosse game. So Leif went out there, and it was pouring. So in between every 20 minutes, it'd break up a little bit, and then they film a little bit section, film the next section. Finally, it's like, it's the day of the competition, and the guy that was Sam Marks, who was a senior last year, who did the filming for us, edited it like a champ. He literally just went hard. He just didn't do any of his homework. He just worked on our video for us pretty much exclusively. And we showed the video of the competition, and it was, oh my God, it was a massive hit. Everyone's cracking up, they're dying.
It like almost overshadowed the entire presentation.
It was crazy.
Like that was all the takeaway was, which is exactly what we wanted.
And especially when you only have 7 minutes, it's like we have to show our brand the quickest and most efficient way possible. So we give our spiel as we always do, and then we show the video, and everyone just gets it at that point. And it was great. And we ended up getting second place at the competition, winning $10,000, which was a great experience. Allowed us to pay back some loans that we had to some parents, which was great.
That was nice.
It was great. And it was a great experience. And this year, we're not in the competition. We're actually running the workshop so that we can help everyone else that wants to be in the competition this year learn how to make that business plan so that they don't face that same adversity that we felt when we were first in the competition. We had no idea how to make a plan. Mm-hmm. So every week we meet with students about, there's 30 groups this year trying to present a lot, and a lot of new ones too, mostly new ones that have no idea how to write a business plan. Right. Really no idea.
There's only one existing business.
There's one existing business that was in it last year.
Well, and I love how, you being mentored inspired you, it sounds like, to mentor others that are going through the competition, since you have the experience.
We were very intimidated when we first joined the competition because it's all these existing businesses, and it's all these people who have been in the business competition, know those nuances we were speaking about, and also have existing business plans. But once you have that, all you really have to do is update it, and it's really nice. And for us, it was, when we first started, was, okay, we have no idea where to even start. And there was a workshop at the time, but it was more like to go in, kind of present your idea, get some feedback, and then move on. Jamie and I kind of decided something that would be really good to kind of repay all the help and the networking that we had is, why don't we do the workshop this year and teach people how to write a business plan and use our experiences being in the business competition to teach it basically specifically for the competition and those nuances. And it was something for us that, we're very excited that there's only one existing business, but that there's so many more people who want to join this year. And I would say maybe only 40%, 30% of them are business majors because there's so much excitement about the business competition.
Yeah.
And that's where it becomes even more important. Jamie and I were business majors, so we knew kind of the general idea of businesses and how they function, whereas people who are, studio art majors have no idea where to even start with a business plan.
You say the term competitive advantage and they have no idea what you're talking about. It's the crux of your business right there, is what differentiates yourself here from your competition, from anything else out there. And how do you create value for your customer? And all these things, it's really good that we're here. I really feel valuable being a mentor, not even mentor, a sort of a coordinator, I said, in business plan competition. And I think it'll in turn make the actual day of competition much better, because the level of presentation, the level of completeness of their plan will just impress the judges a lot, and I'm really excited for that.
That's great. So how do you feel about the fact that Skidmore and our alumni and Ken Frierick and your mentors were really sort of the catalyst to sort of bringing you to where you are today? How does that make you feel?
It's instrumental. We wouldn't be here without that help. And what we've always felt a lot more than just the donations is the support, the overwhelming support. And that's something that for us, especially when we were in that first round, that support from our mentor and the constant contact and motivation is something that really kind of lifts your spirits. And we couldn't be more appreciative of that whatsoever. It's incredible.
And it makes me think that my education at Skidmore, it just expands beyond just the confines of this campus. And there's just so much more that this school has to offer. And when you go to a college, when I was applying to college, it's all about the school and the stats and who the teachers are, maybe even in the majors. You don't really think about the alumni network as much when you're in high school. But as you get older and you get into school and you see these programs, even expanding beyond the business plan competition, but the CDC and networking events and people that have helped me, I wouldn't be where I am today without the alumni. And it's really cool to see.
And it makes a lot of sense to me. At first, when you kind of start at Skidmore and you hear about alumni, you think just kind of concept of two people who went to the same school meeting each other and having that connection. But it makes so much sense, I know, for Jamie and I, when you receive that much support that later on in your life, to want to give back and to want to continue that. And I know from what we've had in our experience at Skidmore, we will be doing it. Like, that's just a concept that's ingrained in our minds, and it's because of how close the network of alumni at Skidmore are, and how much attachment they have to not only staying in contact with the school, but ensuring student success.
Well, that's so wonderful to hear. And not only do you have a network, but you have a network for life. So
Exactly.
We're kind of running out of time.
Yes.
We're thrilled you joined us. But one last question. How do we get Adirondack Flannel t-shirts?
It's a good question. Room for a shameless pitch. You can find our shirts now at adirondackflannel.com. We will also hopefully be located in some retailers in Saratoga Springs, hopefully soon.
You can follow us on Instagram at Adirondack_flannel. Sorry for their time. Or Facebook.com/Adirondack Flannel.
All right. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us.
Appreciate it.
All right. We'll be right back.